We're now joined from our Durban studios by Boy Zondi, who is the chairperson of SANTACO in KwaZulu-Natal. Mr. Boy Zondi, thank you very much for joining us this evening. What looks to be yet another senseless incident involving a taxi that's believed at this stage to have rammed past a red robot, hitting 3 of these children and wounding a 4th one. Let's get your reaction, first of all, to this tragedy.
Good evening to yourselves and the viewers at home. Firstly, let us convey our condolences to the families of the 3 kids who have passed on, and also wish a speedy recovery of the 4th child who is currently in hospital. As SANTACO KZN, we strongly condemn the action of the driver of speeding and going through a red robot. We are not happy ourselves. We have been in contact with the local association where the vehicle is coming from, and they are also not happy with the incident, but there is something that the association is currently doing, and they will be visiting the families of the 3 deceased and the 4th child that is currently in hospital.
Mr. Zondi, all good and well that the law, I guess, should take its course and investigations should conclude first into what exactly happened. This is just a preliminary investigation that indicates that the taxi driver may have skipped a red robot, but all good and well, you can't just condemn. We've been condemning for the longest time. The issue of taxi driver behavior on the country's roads has long been an issue that commuters as well as the ordinary South Africans have been complaining about. Surely more can be done. You've got the local taxi association that's going to visit the loved ones of those who have passed on, but that shouldn't be enough. How do you keep visiting and passing your condolences and just saying that you're condemning? What needs to happen in order to ensure that incidents like this just simply cannot continue?
Well, it's not that we are sitting down as the leaders of the taxi industry ourselves. We have currently got a program called Hlogomela. We've decided to speak to the Department of Transport and said, let's partner with the department where we need to also try and help the police to enforce all those who are doing these bad things in the taxi industry. And we are doing this Hlogomela program every day. Throughout KZN, we've got 85 taxi operators, 5 in each region, who goes to taxi ranks, speaks to our drivers, and speak to them and tell them that the importance of obeying the rules of the road and also taking care of passengers. We are not sitting down. But however, there are still those like this one who are still going out, even though we are speaking to them, and still carrying on doing the wrong things.
Mr. Zondi, clearly, while we allow investigations in any particular incident, I guess to conclude, as I earlier indicated, there needs to be a stronger message, I guess, that's coming from the taxi industry. These incidents are continuing. And I know that you've got a number of educational programs. You're also speaking about consistently going out in KZN and speaking to these taxis. What happens in a case when a taxi driver simply does not listen? You've got a majority of the population of this country that is relying on public transport, which is clearly not reliable in this instance. Constant complaints. Something needs to be said much louder that is coming from the taxi. Serious consequences. Okay. Apart from what the law needing to take its course, the taxi industry, isn't there something louder that you need to be saying? Consequences, perhaps. Those who are not abiding by the rules of the road after so much being ploughed into all these educational programs have simply got to go. People are dying.
Well, Crusada, currently in each and every association, there are disciplinary committees. The community may not be aware of, but some are already aware of, where these kinds of incidents are taken seriously, where we end up getting rid of these drivers who are doing these kind of things, because we ourselves don't want to associate with anyone who's doing anything wrong in the taxi industry.
Yeah.
We go to an extent of even firing them, making sure that they are no more part of the taxi industry because of these kind of incidents. We are not sitting down. It's just that the public may not know about these things, but associations are seriously doing things.
So I gather, I gather then,
these.
Mr. Zondi, in this instance, when this taxi driver appears in court, you'd be standing there with placards and calling for him basically to face the full might of the law, because part of our understanding also is that he ran away, allegedly, after this incident had taken place, and then at a later stage handed himself over to police. So I would perhaps think that you as the umbrella body would be standing with placards outside that court calling for him to face the full might of the law, and also, if found to be true, the allegations that are being made currently that he should never again sit behind the wheel of a taxi in this country.
Well, you've hit it on the bud. We may not, because I don't want to lie on national television and say we'll be going with placards, but I'm fully aware, and we have done this in many instances, where if these kind of things, we make sure that these drivers are not part of the taxi industry. But we are going to leave this one to the law enforcement. We would like the law to take its course, and but us as the taxi industry, no matter what happens, but this driver, we are saying he cannot be part of the taxi industry anymore. And it's not going to be the first time that we are doing it. We've done it before, and we are going to carry on doing it.
Well, what about as well, you know, the taxi boss? Shouldn't there also be repercussions on, I know as an umbrella body, certainly you cannot go from every association to every association and ensure that the message that you are preaching, they adhere to. But what about taxi bosses who are not calling their taxi drivers to account? I mean, some would argue they're rushing to get somewhere. I mean, why else would you jump a red robot if that's what the allegation, if this allegation is indeed true? You're clearly rushing somewhere, one would, I guess, assume at this point. But what about the taxi owner? The taxi owner is also supposed to take some kind of responsibility. Will you also be engaging with him?
I think it will be unfair of anyone to say the taxi owner should also face any kind of law enforcement.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the driver. You hear the vehicle. From what we've heard to date was in a good condition,
yeah,
which means the owner have played his role. He gave the vehicle to the driver, so it will be unfair to
but
any
in terms of
member
compliance,
of the
I'm sorry, Mr. Zondi, in terms of compliance, I know that the soul, you can take a horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink. That is the saying. But of course, in terms of the owner surely should have some onus also to say, driver X, driver B, if you do not comply with the rules of the road, you will be dealt with. Because in this instance, this taxi driver will simply be fired. You will get rid of him. He will hire somebody else. And if that person does not adhere to the rules of the road, it is a cycle that continues to go on and on and on and on. And we continue to see young lives, young and old as well, lost in this particular. I understand that the taxi had dragged these children for quite some time before it came to a stop. Come on.
No, I think you are correct there, where we are encouraging all owners to say they all need to speak to their drivers. and tell them to behave on the road, take care of the customers, and they must make sure that they don't drink and drive. That we do that with the owners. And we are still appealing to those owners, if there are owners who have not yet done it, to please make sure that they speak to their drivers. But to a large extent, a lot of owners are sitting with their drivers because owners do take care of the community that we are transporting. But we've also spoken to owners and say they must also make sure on their side that they don't give drivers unroadworthy vehicles.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Boy Zondi, thank you very much for your time. Boy Zondi is the chairperson of SANTACO in KwaZulu-Natal, obviously following that horrific accident in which 3 children died and a 4th one is in hospital this evening after the driver of a taxi is alleged to have skipped a red robot.